can be sufficient to support the transitioning from a 12-hour economy to a 24-hour economy in Nigeria. And we have Dr. Godfrey Ajayi-Sunday, who has been in the business of building businesses across Nigeria and, of course, abroad. And he is here to be sharing with us some of his insights and experiences on how this can be possible and how you as a business, a small business or a big business, can actually tap into this opportunity. What are those policies that government are supposed to put in place to support this process? Dr. Godfrey, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Osai. I'm excited on the subject matter, transitioning into a 24-hour economy.
Yes.
That will go a long way to solving some of our problems.
Wonderful. So let's begin quickly by finding out from you, an advocate of a 24-hour economy, you know, from our previous interactions. You have consistently posited that Nigeria needs to take a serious look, we need to take a hard look into how we can move away from this 12-hour economy. What are those key advantages that you think that makes you to be a strong advocate for a 24-hour economy? What are the advantages for a Nigerian economy, for example?
Yeah, thank you, Osai, for the time and opportunity. 24 hours economy, that's where we need to move into now. And beyond 24 hours, it has to be 24/7. Okay? It has to be a situation where people are paid per hour, and it has to be online real time. With that, once you are able to engage with that, then we'll have a very, very positive economy going forward. There are quite a number of advantages. Okay. Number one is that it will boost economic activities across the nation. Then you have job creation, which is the paramount thing. Today, there is subsidy removal across different strata. The recent one being the electricity tariff increase. So now the people are having issues to say, look, how do we earn enough money to be able to pay? So with a 24 hours economy, it will lead to diversification, and quite a number of people will now be engaged meaningfully, and they will now be able to pay these bills that we talk about. 24-hour economy will be convenient for the customers. Okay. I mean, around somebody gets sick around 12 midnight, and you need to just get those drugs. Okay, so being sure that there will be a pharmacy that will be open. Yeah. So it will create convenience for the customers. Then there will be improved work-life balance. Okay, so you even call it 12 hours economy, but I tell you that it's actually an 8-hour economy. So if I close by say 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. and I needed to just go somewhere to relax, or to even go and do a gym, by 8 p.m., 9 p.m., a gym is available. So with 24-hour work economy, you will be able to have a balanced work-life situation. Yes. Then optimal resource utilization. As we go on in the course of the discussion, you will discover that there are some facilities, infrastructure that must run 24 hours. Okay. So you talk about something like electricity, for example, now. Telecom, which is even the most important. Are you now saying that telecom, if by 12 hours just switch off, a lot of people don't put off their phone now. They don't put off their data now. So there will be optimal resource utilization. When you go to manufacturing, some of these machines are built to run for 24 hours, and we just run basically for 8 hours. So you keep the machines idle. Yeah. So there will be maximum resource utilization. What about tourism? A tourist, abroad, what they do is that from the beginning of the year, you begin to save. Okay? And when you are saving to say, okay, I want to go to Nigeria, come to Abuja to come and enjoy the money, and you come to Abuja, the economy is shutting down by 6 p.m. So tourism and social life will be boosted. Then what about culture? Once those tourists go out, they will be able to feel the Nigerian culture, because somewhere around 10 p.m., a thief culture is going to be on display. So there will be culture and quite a number of other advantages. So
let me quickly come back to you at this point. You made mention of this 24-hour economy. My concern is, how will this continuous work by the different strata, we're going to come into which sector that will actually benefit from the 24-hour economy. But what do you think? Don't you think continuous operation might impede productivity?
No. Rather, it will help economic growth.
Okay.
It also helps productivity. What do I mean? I talked about the fact that there can be diversification. Okay, so it means that ordinarily, if I didn't have employment, I now have a situation where you have 24 hours operating. I mean, somebody who works for the first 12 hours cannot work in the next 12 hours.
Okay.
Okay, so it means that there will be room for job creation for that person, and it will also lead to diversification. And okay, there are businesses that run in the evening, that runs in the night, that are different from business that run in the day. So it will lead essentially to diversification of the economy. And I mentioned the fact that there could be life-work balance, and product and services will also now be created. Then what about connectivity? You have a flight coming in, an international flight coming in around 12 midnight. Somebody has to move that person to his hotel room. So transportation will be available to be able to move that person. And once the person gets to the hotel, he has to eat. So 24 hours economy will rather now make the economy to be more productive, and there will be growth going forward.
Because the people, I think my major concern has been, which you have kind of clarified, which is continuous work will not be dependent on particular people. So there will be like a shifting.
Yeah, so shifting will happen.
Okay.
People will, I mean, we get to regulations. I mean, there's number of hours a human being is allowed to work in a week, in a day. Okay, so right now, do we have a problem of unemployment?
Yes.
Okay, so why can't we diversify this economy by running 24 hours? Then you bring more people into employment. Okay, so rather than shutting down at a particular point in time, you now engage some other set of people to to move forward the economy at that point in time. So you discover that you can once you plan your life, you can take 4 hours day, take 4 hours night, because we also talk about rest period. There's something called rest period. Okay, so because we are saying 24 hours, does not mean that you're going
to turn to a robot.
No,
that will work.
You will break down.
Yeah. so let's quickly look at, because I think perhaps there could be some people that are running 24 hours, but I know that small businesses are not actually into this area of running a 24-hour economy. What kind of infrastructures do you think that we need, that will require to enable small businesses to transition into a 24-hour work period?
Okay, so quite a number of infrastructures will be deployed. Let's mention, for example, now transportation. So today we're calling on the management of FCT. Okay, there is a need for FCT today going forward to have a 24 hours bus system. Okay. Okay, so I mean, the road, we thank God for the minister today is doing wonderful work with the interconnectivity of the road system.
Like the road infrastructure, the road network.
I tell you that any system that you have Okada, you have the one called Keke Napep, running is in its metropolis, then I tell you that it's a fundamental issue with that economy. So we need to start, first of all, with the transportation network. We get to the point where I tell you the cities, I mean, when you talk about 24 hours, it doesn't mean that the entire nation will have to run on 24 hours. Okay? If you have a situation where Abuja, for example, is running on 24 hours, Lagos is already doing a sort of 24 hours economy. You should be able to run all those major cities. So transportation is needed. So you need to build that system for them to be able to have those buses running. Okay, to take out the Okadas, to take away the Keke Napep. What about electricity? Okay, electricity is needed 24 hours. And New Mexico came now to say, okay, if you are running a 20-hour
power supply
system.
If you are in band A.
Yeah, in band A. That means 20. So that means they're already thinking about that. So the electricity should be 24 hours. So we need to build those infrastructure for us to be able to run, so that the enterprise and the entrepreneurs that you talk about will now have that opportunity to be able to key in as at the time they needed to keep in. Okay, so you mentioned the fact that MSME do not necessarily have to, but the human beings involved. Okay, if for Canada, for example, if you're driving from the airport by 12 midnight and your vehicle breaks down, okay, or you're talking about mechanic now, there should be an MSME kind of system that should be able to help you to recover that vehicle. Okay, so the healthcare system, the healthcare system by its nature is already built to run for 24 hours. Okay, but we need to maximize it. Okay, so if I fall sick,
we're talking about the healthcare system. We have a situation where our general hospitals don't really work even on holidays.
Yeah. So that is the abnormality. I mean, what about if you fall sick? I mean, let's assume your work starts by 8 p.m. And by 12 midnight you now fall sick. They will tell you have to wait for 8 a.m. the following day when the staff will resume for you to be able to get healthcare service. So once you have the healthcare system, you have the electricity, then you have the telecom, which is already working 24 hours. Okay, you should be able to recharge. Thank God for online services today that is able to take care of some of these things. So electricity should run. There should be a road network. Talking about transportation system. So, and telecom, of course, should be able to help us.
Of course, I think another key issue that needs to be addressed, because if I run the 24-hour economy, part of the infrastructure could be security. Because if you are, like you kind of mentioned about coming from the airport and you possibly have a breakdown with your vehicle, you needed somebody that will be there to be able to help you in that regard. But that person that needs to be there in the middle of the night needs to be secured. Yeah,
so that's talking about public safety. Okay, so once you are running a 24 hours economy, you know, people today talk about community policing.
Yes.
The police itself should be 24 hours. Okay, what about fire service? Okay, there is a fire, they are there, but we need to be conscious of it. You need to be conscious that the police is there for you. So there should be some police that work in the daytime and the ones that work in the night as a matter of a work policy. Then what about emergency responses?
Yes.
Okay, somebody is driving in from the airport, or maybe you're working at a public hospital, and there is now a cause for emergency. So those are some of the infrastructure that need to be put in place. Then you talk about commercial and retail activities. Today, you have something like in UAE as Dubai Mall that runs 24 hours with complete Wi-Fi. As soon as you send it to that premises, it should be, you know, activated immediately. So we're talking about commercial activity. Which supermarket today in the capital of Nigeria runs for 24 hours?
I think we're having a few of them,
okay.
Like H-Med. Let me not mention names anymore.
Okay.
But I think we're having some few of them pop up with a promise for a 24-hour service. But I think generally what we're looking at is how can every segment of the economy, every sector of the economy have this kind of awareness that the economy now is running, you know, that 24-hour economy.
That's the role of the government now.
And that's the role of the government.
Yeah, the role of government has to come in with quite regulations.
So we're going to come to the role of government.
Yeah.
But do you think there is a role for technology in this aspect?
Yeah, technology is the driver. I mean, indirectly we've been doing quite a number of 24-hour service through technology. Okay, so today you need to buy your airtime. Okay, so you don't have to connect to a human being for you to be able to do that going forward. Okay, so now you want to make transactions, banking transactions, so through your internet banking. So technology has helped us to do 24 hours actually. And you hear people say, look, I don't switch off my phone. You can reach out to me anytime. So technology will help us in remote controlling, in the area of e-commerce, okay? Which means that you can order for anything. It's just that maybe it may not be delivered till maybe it's a daytime. I had a terrible experience.
So, but if technology is contributing by providing this infrastructure where you can make that order even the midnight, if we are transitioning to a 24-hour economy, it also implies that
technology has to be up and running.
The technology is right. The technology is running. There should be a human element that should be able to fulfill that.
I had an experience in the UK. You know, there's something called self-service.
Yes.
Okay, so self-service means that a situation where, you know, maybe you stay in a hotel, maybe a self-service apartment, you may not have an individual attending to you, so you should be able to attend to yourself, clean up the room, be able to make food for yourself anytime you want to do. So I checked into this hotel in the UK, and their dinner stops by 10 p.m. So I didn't know. So the guy I was with, we were gisting from 9:30 that we thought we placed order, we didn't pay. So we started gisting, and we gisted to about 10:30. We now realize that food is not on serve. So we approached them. They said, look, you ought to have paid. I said, but you didn't tell us. and it was kind of racist setup. And because we're black, they refused to attend to us. And we made all the whole noise. They said, look, dinner starts by 10. So stepping out, I was able to talk to the receptionist who, show empathy and said, look, there's an Indian restaurant that you can place order. Guess what? I placed that order. They delivered the food around 11, and it was a wonderful meal, better than what I was eating in the hotel. And that was the last time I ate
from the hotel.
Yes. So when you are talking about technology now, human beings still have to power. Okay? So when you are talking about monitoring, you are talking about remoteness, you are talking about e-commerce, there are people behind who are working 24 hours of the day
to meet those
to be able to meet
demands.
Those demands. A family friend recently, Jackpa, and she was a magistrate here, and around 8 p.m. we put a call across her. I said, look, I'm just resuming work. I mean, a magistrate. He said, I'm just resuming work by 8 p.m. to work till the following morning. He said, okay, when I'm done, I will reach out to you. So technology has come a long way to be able to help us to be able to.
So let me pause you at this point before we go for a break. And I want us to go for a break shortly so that we can bring in Ambassador Phil, who is joining us virtually. But before we go for that break, can you tell us, are there other countries that you have come across that that are operating a 24-hour economy, and what is the difference between their economy and our economy?
Lagos, for example, in Nigeria, it's now being regarded as a mega city. When you say a mega city must have population above 10 million. And that's why you see that it's only Lagos in Nigeria today that qualifies to be a mega city. And being a mega city means that you need to run a sort of 24 hours economy. Lagos is such a wonderful place that by 4 a.m. you already see people fighting on the streets. So US, for example, the New York City, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, they're running completely on a 24 hours economy right now. What about countries like Japan, Tokyo? Tokyo is a 24 hours economy. Anything you want to get in Tokyo, it's like the day does not end. You have countries like South Korea, Seoul. Seoul is running on a 24 hours economy. Singapore is already running on a 24 hours economy. So coming down to countries like Africa, South Africa, Joburg, Cape Town, Cairo, all these cities, they're already running on 24 hours. So I don't see any reason why Abuja will not run on a 24 hours. It will amaze you that there's a street in Abuja called the Lagos Street. Lagos Street right now is running on the 24-hour economy. Okay? So we must begin to put cities like Abuja on the 24 hours. And I was speaking to the government that, look, these are ways you can use to expand.
To drastically.
Yeah, expand the economy, to be able to create those employment for people to be able to pay for those subsidy removal that you have done. Why would you run on 24 hours? Kano should run on the 24 hours. Okay? Talking about Ibadan, for example. Ibadan is a very unique city that has become the agricultural hub of Nigeria today. Most of the day-old chick, most of the pig meat and all these things are produced in Ibadan. There was time we had an experience of some Chinese young people, engineers, coming here to come and see our cassava potential. And they said, look, the reason why they are siting close to Lagos is that it's close to ports where you can easily move in things and out. So Ibadan should run on the 24 hours. What about Enugu? You have our airports, regional airports. Today, Enugu, you talk about Enugu, Ibadan. Okay? You talk about Kaduna, Kano. So once you have a regional airport, you should be able to attract international flights. So once you attract international flights, then you should marry it up with domestic flights. So today, there are flight delays. If I'm going to go to Lagos by 12 and the daytime is congested, I should be able to go by 11 to the airport, take a flight with a low traffic region, get into Lagos, and be able to do my business. So once you have those international hubs, you should marry them with regional airports that should be able to do that domestic flight anytime, any day.
But the interesting thing now, I don't, this is not part of what I thought we should talk about, but perhaps another edition will be looking at deeply into the airports. Do you think we have a regional airport as we speak now in Nigeria?
Yeah, I mean, on paper,
because
yes.
other states are just popping up without different airports that might not even meet up with certain standards of a regional airport, so to speak.
Yeah, we have them on paper, but we should marry them. I mean, what cause, apart from the fact that we have those regions, commerce also drive some of those regional activities. Okay, today you have Ibon Air operating from Uyo, trying to join what's it called, Air Peace on the London route. So Uyo should become a major hub now, where, you know, I mean, they even develop facility to be able to fix aircraft for the other airlines. Okay, so a place like that should be Enugu, covering the eastern region. Then you talk about a place like Maiduguri. Okay, so you talk about Kaduna, you talk about Kano. The other time the governor of Kano State and the governor of Niger State just commissioned the Minna Airport. Okay, so the Minna Airport should be able to complement the Abuja Airport in case there is congestion. In South Africa today, every 1 hour there is an international flight taking off and landing. So we have not still been able to achieve that in Nigeria. So with those regional airports, they should serve as, like, if Lagos, Abuja is congested, you can land in a place like Minna, for example. You can land in Port Harcourt, you can land in Enugu. Okay, Port Harcourt is called the Garden City.
Yeah, I think I will stop you there. Let's go for a quick break. I think what is interesting to me is how small business can begin to plan their business so that they can transition into a 24-hour economy through the shifting arrangement. You know, you can have a staff that, you know, will work for maybe 8 hours and another staff coming in to work for another 8 hours. We'll be right back after this short break. We'll bring in Ambassador Phil Roberts. Please stay with us. Help, you know, in creating a lot of employment. Is going to help in increasing the size of Nigeria's economy. And so let me come back to you, Mr. Dr. Godfrey. We're having some technical issues, so Ambassador Phil will be joining us later once the technical team resolve those technicalities. So, but let me ask you this. What are those specific sectors that you think will really contribute to driving, you know, this 24-hour economy, or that will benefit immensely from running a 24-hour economy?
Okay, so thank you very much. Like we said, it's not as if maybe some services are not already 24 hours. Okay, so specifically some sectors like the transportation sector, okay, like we mentioned earlier, should be able to be of immense benefits. And you know, you talk about how the MSMEs can come in. Okay, so when you have drivers, for example, okay, so we did a kind of study recently, which we are available to do for any of those cities that is ready to go 24 hours, to say, look, in Abuja, for example, which is our capital today, if we have about 500 buses, we can run a complete 24 hours bus service, similar to what is happening in the UK. So once you do that, it means that if the drivers are running shifts, and you have about 500 buses, and you have 3 drivers per day, don't forget that a day is about 24 hours. And by the labor law, which we will, of course, also talk about later, no human being is allowed to work more than 40 hours in a week. Yeah. Okay, so that you can get that rest period that we're talking about. So if you have 500 buses times 3, okay, so you're talking about 1,500 drivers. Okay, what about the mechanics that would work on these cars when they break down? What about the people that will serve inside those buses? Okay, so the transportation, for example. Then what about the hospitals and the pharmacy? You mentioned about an organization that's already running 24 hours service. Pharmaceutical services. Yes. Okay, so when you have pharmacy, for example, running, so it means that, you know, you're leaving the studio by 1 a.m. on your way home, and you're feeling headache, you can just branch off and into a pharmacy, talking about hair care now, or you even like fall in majorly, okay, around 2 a.m. You should be able to go to the hospital and get a card, because card can only be gotten only in the morning. Right now, as we're talking now. But now here you are, you're on your way home, and you are around the National Hospital, for example, and you now fall sick around that region. They will tell you that, look, you are not a registered member. So around 2 a.m., there should be somebody to be able to get you registered, and a doctor should be on duty to be able to attend to you. So we're talking about transportation now. We're talking about the healthcare sector. What about the tourism? We're talking about the hotels now, for example. I mean, you should be able to wake up anytime and check in into a hotel. And there was a hotel I went to. I mean, I got to the hotel around 11 a.m. and I said, look, I want to eat. They said, no, the cook has gone home. So those are the challenges that we have. So once you get those sectors working in the economy, then there are what we call ancillary services that will come along with that. That's where the MSMEs now come in. Because if there was a time I traveled to Asaba, came in with a bus in the night, and I dropped around somewhere called Giri, and there was a guy who was under the bridge there waiting for passenger. And I asked him, what do you do? He said he works in the night. Okay, so that's where the police has to come in now, a police 24-hour police system. Yeah.
So I'm going to stop here. I just have a word now that the guest, Ambassador Phil, who is joining us virtually, has put through now. Ambassador Phil, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Okay. Thank you for joining us on the program. Now, we're talking about a 24-hour economy and how it can support Nigeria from, resolving this major problem of unemployment and, of course, expanding the size of our economy. From your experience as someone that is into entertainment, because I know that is your core area, of course, I also know that you are the ED for a tourism organization, but we want to look at this from the perspective of entertainment. What do you think that a 24-hour economy will mean for the entertainment industry?
Okay, so thank you so much. So coincidentally, we've been doing 24 hours entertainment in the entertainment industry. Though, if you understand nightlife is a lot of people who do nightlife, their businesses start from 12 o'clock and they party till morning. So somehow, that's why I say somehow we're already doing 24 hours event. Though it's not been something that has been, people now come into it and say, yeah, we're doing entertainment now, because a lot of times shows usually start by 6 o'clock. And they will tell you that once it's becoming 10 o'clock, people will say they want to go. And there are different factors that we're using to measure that, because of the security or because of where they stay are far. But a lot of times people will now fix a party, an after party after a show. So somehow we've been doing it, but it's not been something that we have gone into it. So churches also do night vigil now. It's the same thing.
Yeah, thank you. we understand that, but I want to know from you how possible, because from what you are saying now, 24-hour entertainment service has not really been adopted or accepted. What are some of those basic challenges that you see that is making it not to be fully accepted, as it were?
Okay, now in a 24 hours project, 24 hours event, who will come? You need to consider who are you inviting in your event. You understand? Because a lot of times you also need to consider the place. Like Abuja is a civil servant city, so people go to work and they go to work. So
my point. Can you hear me, Ambassador Phil? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go on.
Dr. Godfrey mentioned about ancillary services that needs to happen for a 24-hour economy to be substantive, as it were. So I'm asking to know from you, in the entertainment sector, I
can hear you.
Yeah, I'm saying that in the entertainment sector, are there ancillary services that are required to support the entertainment sector from working or operating in 24 hours?
Yeah, there are a lot of things. If we want the entertainment sector to work 24 hours, there are a lot of things you need to put in place. First of all, you need to let people know that they are secure. You understand? Because if people want to come outside in the night, because 24 hours means that it's midnight. Though we have people who call themselves night crawlers, so those ones, they don't even care. They understand what the nightlife looks like. You understand? So if you want people to now start understanding the 24 hours and entertainment, know that number one, there's security. You also need to consider a lot of promos. The media also has a lot of roles to play in letting people know that there's shows cannot be done 24 hours, because Nigerians are so funny. Once they are used to one way of life, to push them to the other one not be easy. You understand? You put a show that the show is starting 1 a.m. The next thing you will hear, who will come? Now which? Now party for witches are put at 1. So you need to let people understand that this can be done. Then transportation also plays a major role. If I'm going for a party by 1 a.m., I need to be sure I can get transport to go there and also get transport to come back. Now, if I'm in that event and I'm also hungry, I need to buy food. You understand? Can I get something to buy by that time, so that when I get tired? Those are some of the things you need to also consider. Now, if such whatever I put in place, there's also security, so that people will know that when you go out like you are secure. Yeah. So those are some of the little things that needs to be put in place, and people need to also, the staffs that are going to be working. We'll not start, maybe start employing shift, doing something like shift. You work from morning to a certain time, you close, another set, come and work in the night. So those are some of the things.
Now, let me thank you very much, Ambassador Phil. Let me hold it there so that I come back to Dr. Godfrey. Now, from what he's saying, what are the, how can policymakers, what are those policies that are required to enable businesses to operate beyond, the 12 hours that we're currently doing?
So that's where we're coming in. The status quo right now is that, we're running ad hoc services at 24 hours. What we are advocating is that let us have a system that is recognized by everybody, such that the man who ordinarily does not do 24 hours, if he now says he wants to go for a party around 12, it will not be like the housing is in a panic mood. I mean, like, it's already known that, look, if you go out there, you're going to get transported to the place you are going, and you're going to be safe, just as Ambassador has mentioned. So the number one thing that the policymaker have to do is talking about flexible regulations. There must be, the National Assembly has to come in now to be able to make some laws, labor laws. The last government was talking about ease of doing business. Yes. Okay, so ease of working in the night should also now be considered.
From ease of doing business to ease of working in the night. That's interesting. So I'm going to hold it there. We're going to go for a quick break so that we can take the news roundup. I want to thank you for staying with us, but please don't change the channel. Let's quickly take this news roundup, and we'll come back with Dr. Godfrey expounding more on how we can transition to a 24-hour economy. Remaining with us on Market Movers, we are still talking about transition from a 12-hour economy to a 24-hour economy, and Dr. Godfrey is still here with me in the studio, and we have Ambassador Phil joining us virtually. Ambassador Phil, can you hear me? Ambassador Phil, are you there? Okay, so Dr. Godfrey, you were making a point about specific policies that needs to happen for this transitioning to be smooth and seamless. Okay,
so I started by talking with about flexible regulations. The National Assembly has to come up now to look at the labor laws again, so as to be able to match with that transitioning that you talk about. Then you talk about ease of doing business, which the last administration dwells so much about, ease of doing business. Then you talk about incentives. Okay, so those, deliberately now wanting to join in the 24 hours should be given a tax break for them to be able to come in. Talk about grants, give them grants to encourage them. Don't forget that we're trying to diversify the economy. We're trying to create more employment. Then what about low interest rate through the banks? Then collaboration with the private sector is key then there has to be massive investment in infrastructures. Okay, we're talking about transportation now. The electricity infrastructure has to be expanded. Then, of course, there has to be campaign and awareness to just like.
And that was what Ambassador was talking about.
So to say, look, because again, I understand what he's talking about, but if it's institutionalized and those operations start. So if you get up in the night and say, look, my wife, I'm going to the hospital, there will not be any panic mode. So that awareness has to come in place. Then the workforce itself has to be developed now to say, look, you can actually do a night job and rest in the daytime.
You know, because that is also very important, because we have a culture. I don't know how deep that culture is. You know, but we have a culture where
8 to 5. Yeah,
8 to 5. People see those working at night as people that are not really in the economy.
So, and I mean, every time I walk up to 9 with my wife, she's shutting down already. She said, "Look,
it's time to go to bed."
You cannot.
I'll come back to you. Ambassador, are you there? Can you hear us now? Can you hear me, Ambassador Phil? Can you hear me, Ambassador Phil? Okay, I think we're still having technical difficulties. So let's come, while the technical team will work out Ambassador Phil to join us again. Let's look at legal and regulatory processes that needs to happen.
Basically, they are for us to switch into a 24-hour economy, and I make sure that it doesn't have to be all the cities. I've been able to x-ray those cities. Abuja is number one that was, because Abuja is our capital, so Abuja cannot afford to go and sleep by 9 p.m. Okay, so one is the working hour regulations. Okay, so there must be a law around the working hour to say these are the amount of hours you are allowed to work. Okay, you have, for example, the civil servants working for 8 hours. 8 hours, if you multiply that by 5 days in a week, that's already giving you 40 hours. So it means that that civil servant is already able to achieve that. What about the ordinary person who chooses to do maybe 2 hours in the morning and do 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the evening? So essentially, as a student in the UK, for example, now, maybe you're allowed to do 20 hours work. So there must be regulation around working hour and overtime also. Okay, so let's assume you have reached your limit and there is more work to be done and there is deadline to be met. Okay, so there must be regulation around overtime, and the last one, there must also be regulation around the rest period. Then there is something that is happening in Abuja now. There has to be a regulation around noise making, around noise. Okay, so when you have a situation where somebody puts up a microphone, you know, to be able to, to disturb the neighbor, there has to be regulation around that. So if you're working in the midnight where people are expected to rest in this part of the country, there should be regulation against noise making to stop people from disturbing other. Because
Ambassador was talking about, of course, we have religious groups that also do night activities.
In a place like US, when you do a night activity, I mean, everywhere should be soundproof, so that you're allowed to have your night vigil. But that night vigil should not have a microphone that would disturb somebody, because one of the things that we want to push for is what we call mixed use of the economy. What do I mean by that? If you
mixed use.
Yes, so that when you have an industrial setup, there should be accommodation around that, so that people don't have to travel for too long for them to get to be able to office. So in that case, what we currently have in Nigeria is you have industrial area, you have residential area. There can be a mix of that. So there should be regulation to say, look, you can have that being done. Then there should be a regulation on what is called extended work hour, to say, okay, we're now moving from a 24-hour to from a 12-hour economy to a 24. So everybody, it comes to the know that this is what is being in the operations right now.
Now, the key thing that will revolve, this 24-hour economy will revolve around is security.
Yeah.
And, there is no gainsaying that we are having a serious problem, when it comes to security. Now, we all can agree from what you are saying now that moving from a 12-hour economy to a 24-hour economy, especially in those states, those key states, I think they're up to 10 that you listed, or more than 10.
I mentioned Lagos, Abuja, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, Uyo, Benin, Lokoja, Kaduna, Kano, Enugu, and Owerri.
Yeah.
There may be some more. Okay, so if the the governors are listening to us, if they are able to key into a 24-hour economy, it will help them to create employment. So coming back to the police that you mentioned about.
So sorry, Phil is back.
Okay.
Phil, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Sorry.
Okay, so sorry, we'll be having some technical issues getting you back to the program. So very quickly, I wanted to hear from you. Are there specific policies that you take, because the entertainment industry is one of our,
it's already a 24-hour economy.
It's already a 24-hour economy. It's a mainstay for economy so far, contributing so much to our GDP. Yes. So are there specific policies that you think that we support the continuing operation of the entertainment industry for a 24-hour?
So number one, the first thing is employee conduct and policies. Because people need to understand what the 24 hours business is all about. You understand? Attendance policies for the entertainment.
Oh God, we are still having this
money show. 24 hours policy. The entertainers must be able to understand that.
Okay, sorry, we're still having technical difficulties with connecting with Ambassador Phil there. So let's come back. We're talking about these states, over 10 of them that you have listed, that can benefit from a 24-hour economy. Because the implication is that even when the National Bureau of Statistics is telling us that we have just about 5% unemployment rate, we know that more than half of Nigerians are living below the poverty line, all right, based on statistics that are available to us. Now, if, for instance, each of these 10 states are able to double their employment rate,
yeah,
all right,
boost the economy.
Yes, it will boost the economy and bring these people out of the poverty line. China has done it. I think China is a good example of a 24 hours economy.
Yeah.
So, but the onus of the matter is security. How can we be able to have a hold on
we should have a 24 hours police.
Okay.
Yes, right now, going forward from today, that we should have a 24 hours police system. Don't forget that we have in 24 hours there are 8 hours of it.
Yes.
Okay, so we can break down the economy into that 8 hours regime, so that some people are resuming by 8 a.m. Okay, working for 8 hours. Then
some are resuming by 6 p.m.
6 p.m. and working. So by the time you have that, you have a complete policing. Today, I mean, because it's night, you are being attacked. You need to call the police. Police should be available. It's not that you're calling the police. Police should be, and that's where intelligence comes in. So, police for me today, we should increase the number of our police to be able to meet up with the 24-hour service. And it gives confidence to say that you're driving around 12 midnight, and you're seeing a police driving behind you or beside you or around you. It gives that confidence that look, nothing can happen.
Go wrong.
Yeah. So from today, a 24 hours police should be, as we are advocating for community policing, we should also advocate for 24 hours policing.
Now, from all
and to create employment.
Yes, of course, because more people will be employed into the police system. So as we wrap up the program now, do you think that we are currently, on that path to a 24-hour economy in terms of whether it is security, whether it is policy? What do you see going forward?
No, we have everything available. I mean, everything ready. It's just what we're doing today is probably to create that awareness that look, this is possible. Okay. So, and for those 10 states that you are talking about, is for you now to expand your infrastructure to be able to meet up with this. We've talked about the healthcare. You already have those hospitals. Let them just run for 24 hours. Okay, so once they run for 24 hours real time, it means that people can get help anytime. People can work in those facilities. Okay, so the MSME itself, which is one area I needed also to talk about, talking about the manufacturing sector. Okay, so the machines are built to run for 24 hours. Okay, but the machines are running for only 8 hours right now. So if they run for 24 hours and you give them maybe 1 or 2 days rest in a week, then what that means that more products will be coming out. Okay. Okay, more people will also be engaged. So going forward right now, for us to meet up with employment, for people to have more money in their pockets, what we are saying to government is that look at the options of running a 24-hour
economy. And of course, for that to happen, there will need to be budgetary provisions. But we can't continue on this front. It has been a wonderful conversation, Dr. Godfrey. Our time is up. And so I want to thank you, our viewers, for staying through with us. And I want to encourage you to follow us on our social media handles, where you will get, insights and information that, tells you what is moving the market in your sector.